Hello everyone, my name is Adarsh. And today I'm with Hussein Nasser. And Hussein is an amazing software engineer who is currently working at Esri. And he also has this awesome YouTube channel. If you're a software engineer or somebody interested in software engineer, you should definitely check out Hussein's channel because it's just amazing. So thank you so much, Hussein, for doing this.
Hello, everyone. Thanks you so much, Adarsh, for having me. My name is Hussein, and I've been doing software engineering slash backend engineering videos for around since 2014. That's where I first uploaded my own video on YouTube. But I've been doing software engineering professionally since 2005, 2004. That was my first career job. But if we're going to talk about just programming and just doing computer science, I've been doing that since 1996. Wow. So I was a kid back then, but that was like when my passion started about software engineering, and then we're gonna talk about all that and how I got into software engineering and all that stuff and this podcast slash video. And thank you so much, Adarsh, for having me on this channel.
My pleasure. Really excited for this. Yeah.
It's gonna be fun.
So let's get started. Let's start a little bit about your early days in programming and how you basically got into coding and what introduced you to this software engineering world.
Yeah, so what got me into coding was when I was around 15 and 16 years old. I was a teenager, right? And then working with my uncle. He brought his laptop, not laptop. It was like I went to his house and he was working on some application. I didn't know what it was. It's called Fox Pro, I believe, or something like that. He was writing some code, and I was asking, "What is that really?"
Right.
It's like, "What are you doing?" I had a computer. My first computer I had in 1995, but we play games on computers, and we don't do anything with it. Just play games and you have internet back then, just maybe MSN, chat. That's the stuff we do with the internet. But when I saw him doing something completely different with the computer. It's like he was writing stuff and the computer responds back and told him, "What are you doing?" And he's like, I'm programming the computer. It's like, what is that? So he gave me this book. He's like, "You should read this book." I think I have it right here. Learning Visual Basic 2.
Wow.
And says, this is basically how you talk to the computer, how to talk to the machine. And I was fascinated by that. It's like, really? So you can instruct the computer to do whatever you want and it will do it. And I don't know what happened with that, but it feels really good. It feels very close to gaming, which is something I'm passionate about too. Video games. I've been doing video games since I was a kid. And this was very, very similar programmers who are gamers who understand this. Because in a game, you're not like watching a movie, you're interacting with the game. And then you can play, two of you can play a game, but have a different outcome, right? Completely different experience. Same thing with the programming computer. You can interact with the computer and give it certain instruction and give you complete different output. So it feels very similar. It's not like a game. So initially I wanted to build games and
exactly. I think everybody
everybody, right?
Yeah. Right. Even me too, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people they
how we started too?
Yeah, I mean, I did not technically start, but this kind of interest, right? Exactly. It started out with, okay, how does this work? How do you make your own game, right? But back then, when you checked out, when you see how you can make games, it's very complicated things that come up, right?
It's fascinating that this is, I see this in pattern with a lot of people. It's like, okay, I really like video games. And now I want to know how people build video games.
Right.
And it's just fascinating that we kind of try that. But obviously we give up. And when we, exactly. When we see how difficult it is to build a game, I remember even trying to build a game. I was like, why is it so slow? I was trying to build like a MMO kind of a game. What is the game called? Forgot. It's called Dune 2000.
Okay.
It's a basically a multiplayer, not multiplayer, RPG kind of a game where you have a base. It's like
Mhm.
Red Alert 2, Red
Mhm.
Alert 3, and all these kind of games. So very, I wanted to build something like that. So okay, it's just a whole big picture. Well, this is the base, and as you move, you need to move the picture, but it didn't
Ah,
work. And
yes.
nope, it's not that easy.
Hmm.
Your computer will run out of memory. This is where you realize that you are limited by your computer memory
Hmm.
and processing power,
Right.
right? So it's not really something easy. This is where fascinating that engineers take that and kind of try to solve difficult problems because
And that
we
too,
don't solve.
like a lot of problems,
Okay.
right? It's not just about like the memory, right? I mean, that is one, but engineers take a lot of different problems that are like in different domains and kind of solve everything together to
Exactly.
bring out something. Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, this is it. This is what we've been doing, right? We
Yeah.
don't solve a problem that doesn't exist, right? We don't build these tools just because we're having fun. There's
Yeah.
always a problem, and we
Right.
try to solve it,
Hmm.
and that's how we end up with tools. If
Right.
people try to use these tools without knowing the underlying problem, this is where it leads to us confusion. We get confused like, why? What is this thing? Why do we have React? Or why do we have Angular, right?
Right.
It's like, what kind of problem does it solve, right? That's what I think entry level engineers have problem with when they see
Hmm.
this run. They don't know why do we have these things, right?
Yeah.
Why do I have to learn this over this? It's just interesting. That's why, yeah, that's in general how I started.
Oh,
And
okay.
yeah, just pick it up from there and
Right.
started building stupid things, stupid programs. And yeah,
Right.
because,
So yeah, I mean, I actually started with QBasic. That was like this basic programming language, but
okay.
I quickly realized that there was nothing much to do in it. Then
Mhm.
PHP came along, so then that was kind of the starting point for me. But after that, I kind of picked up on Django and more
Okay. Right.
mainstream things. Yeah.
Okay. Python.
Yeah.
Okay.
So tell me a little bit about what you do at Esri and what a day at Esri looks like for you. What are some problems you're trying to solve there?
So Esri, that's the company I work for,
Mhm.
stands for Environmental Systems Research Institute, and
Oh.
basically it develop geographic information systems,
Hmm.
or it's called
Yeah.
GIS,
GIS. Yeah.
and that's the first job I ever got back in
Right.
2005.
Hmm.
Built GIS. I didn't study GIS in university. I studied just major computer science, but I find myself working with GIS and building solutions related to mapping and locations. That's my specialty. That's my
Right.
bread and butter that I do every single day since 2005 up until 2020.
Right.
That's I do this over there. So you might say, what are you doing with maps? Or is it just a navigation kind of a thing? No, really.
Yeah.
Most of my job really don't deal with location based. This is
Okay.
all the stuff is built. These engines are already built. The
Mhm.
location and all that spatially, how to find location based, how to query certain assets in a
Right.
given location. All of this is done.
Mhm.
We're just we're just enabling other tech on top of that stuff, right?
Mhm.
So basically what I'm working on, we're in a team called the geodatabase team.
Right.
And the geodatabase is a layer that we built in here in Esri back in the 90s,
Mhm.
and it enables you to work with any database. That's the basic understanding of it, and we
Okay.
call it geo because it geo enables any database. Because back in the 90s, the spatial capabilities in the database didn't exist. You cannot do a spatial query or
Mm.
enable a location in the databases, right? These are added later. So the geodatabase was added as an abstract layer that can work with Oracle, SQL Server, Postgres,
Right.
DB2. So, and that is fascinating because today we support over like 5 or 6 database platforms. Because if I do now, if I now write an application, I write it against this layer, the geodatabase. And if I say query or select start from a given table, right? I don't really use SQL. It's a special API.
Yeah. Right.
This code works with Oracle, works with SQL, works with Postgres, and works with any databases. And that's the first thing that's what we're working on. And we have loaded this layer with so many features, right?
Awesome.
And I can go on and go on, but that's just, right. Yeah. So that's essentially what we're doing, geodatabase. I also work on, my specialty in that is utilities, right? Okay. Working with electric, water, gas utilities, especially back in my home country, Bahrain. Yeah. This is where I work with utilities, right? We enable geographic information systems, maps and apps into their utilities. So let's say if I lost power today, what caused that power outage? How do I find this very quickly, right? So you now go into network management, where these things are just a bunch of network connected to each other, where you go into details like graph theory and algorithms. It's a big field. And
sounds
then I can go on. Yeah. It's just that's what I do in databases, utilities, geodatabase, all this kind of stuff. So I work with databases a lot. I work with performance. I work on the web a lot, building services, REST services mainly, right? That hits the back end, right? Geodatabase, which hits those other databases as well, like all the databases. So that's what I work on in databases.
Cool. So you just mentioned that your specialty is GIS, right? But at the same time, I see that you have, kind of knowledge in a lot of things, right? Your YouTube channel kind of reflects that you have kind of this diverse knowledge. So my question too is that, do you see yourself as a generalist or a specialist? And what do you think kind of, is a good approach?
Yeah, so this is a very good question, right? Is it do you have to become a master of none or a jack of all trade, right? This is a very common thing. And I think, to me, my answer would be, you have to become a jack of all trade until you find the trade that you absolutely love and be passionate about, and then you become a master in it. And to me, I'm looking for that trade. That's why I'm tasting different things in my channel. Right. I'm working with proxies, working with databases, which I have experience on. I am by no means expert in anything. And I don't believe, even if I became quote unquote expert, I'm not going to call myself an expert, because I don't know what that means, really, because there will always be someone who knows more. And if you really know a lot about a topic, I bet that you deeply inside know that it's not enough.
So it's your approach is that you taste a lot of things and try to find what, and let that thing choose you.
That's why I'm trying to taste different things. I'm trying to taste different technologies until I find something that I absolutely love. And I'm not saying that I don't love any of that stuff that I'm working on. I love working with security stuff. I love working with proxies a lot. I think proxies will have a big future in backend engineering, especially. Right. And I think databases, I like databases a lot. So I don't know. And that's why I just taste different things until I find what exactly I love about this stuff. And maybe I'll become a master in it. I'm not sure.
Yeah. So as you're, you said you're like tasting different things, you're learning different things. Also on your YouTube channel, you have this start with why approach, right? So when you're learning. Yes. So can you like tell me about your learning process, and when a new topic or a new subject is thrown at you, how do you kind of approach it? And
first there is the initial, first of all, how do you know about a particular topic, right? How did you hear about it? This is the first thing, because in order to learn about something, you must have heard about it, right? That's or accidentally stumble upon it, because that's how I learn mostly, accidentally. I'm reading something And this is called also collateral knowledge. And I talked about it in my channel a little bit, where you want to learn something, but in your way to learn this something, you stumble upon something that you don't understand, and you branch out and you start learning that thing.
Right.
And while learning that new thing, you stumble upon something that you don't know, and you start learning it. Okay. So that's the first thing, how you discover new technologies. That's without just knowing what or why these technologies exist. That's a different question. So that's the collateral knowledge. And I really implore any engineer to use this to their advantage. There will come a stage where you don't care to learn at that depth of a knowledge, right? So and to me, that could be how the TCP packet looks like.
Sure.
Right? That could be one was like, oh, you know, I don't really care how it looks like.
Right.
Okay. Although funny enough, I started recently to know to actually, oh yeah, I need to know how this looks like in order to know how large these packets compare to UDP, in order to understand why HTTP3 exists, right? So you will know immediately. It's like, okay, maybe I don't need to learn this now, but immediately that will unlock at some other time, right? So that's how I basically fan out and start learning technologies. How I find out like technology. I'll give you an example. Today I wanted to make a video about WebRTC, because a lot of people are requesting this technology, and I don't know anything about it. I researched it last year, but I reached a state where I don't understand networking enough to make a video about WebRTC, because I don't want to make a video without actually deeply understanding. I find myself not honest enough if I make such a video.
And like you also have to answer all the questions in the comments, right?
Yeah, exactly, right? Exactly. So WebRTC, I took a pause of making that video last year, and I started diving into network engineering. If you see my channel, you'll see a lot of network videos. All of a sudden coming like TCP, UDP, SYNFlood, NAT. I started learning about this stuff because I don't know what NAT is. And apparently I need to understand it. And now 1 year later, coming to WebRTC, I was like, what is that? Let me learning. And yeah, okay, I understand it better, but now I know that NAT has like 4 types of NATs that it didn't exist. Network address translation. And now I'm learning this stuff now. Network address translation. In order to know that, you need to understand this in order to understand the STUN protocol and the ICE protocol and other, what is called that? STUN and turn. Yeah, this is the different stuff. So yeah, it is extremely complex. This comes to your questions like, next, how do you learn stuff, right? Because now you know there is a tech out there that you want to learn. WebRTC, there is React, there is Nginx, there is traffic, layer 7 load balancing, right? Now you ask, this is my approach. I don't ask what this thing is, because that will just confuse me even more. I ask, why does it exist? What problems does it solve? And I find myself that's just a personal preference. I know every engineer learn differently. Is why does this thing exist? And I always find I can sometimes find an answer in which I find myself comfortable. Okay, that's why it does exist. So that's, in this case, all right, I'm going to learn it because I know why it exists, because of this. There's our problem and we solved it. And here's one thing that I don't know why it exists, and people will hate me for it, I know. Like React, I still can't find my answer to why React exists, because everything that I do with React exists in JavaScript, right? And it doesn't really solve a problem that at least I encountered. And you might give me all kind of shade, and that's okay, because I'm not a front-end engineer. I haven't built complex front-end
Yeah.
applications. Maybe if I did, I'm saying, of course, that's why I need React, right?
Right, right,
That's why I didn't, so I wouldn't recommend React to anyone, because if I'm going to build an application, I'm going to build an ugly application with pure HTML5 and JavaScript. And I know everything that goes into my application. And that's another thing. I don't like to put third-party stuff
mm-hmm.
in
Just
my
because it's
application.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah, just because it just it just I need to understand everything that goes into my application. And obviously this goes beyond some people principles, because some people's like, no, of course you have to reusability and all that stuff. But yeah,
Yeah.
I'm going to reuse a component if I really understood what it does, right?
Right.
Then I'm going to import it, and I completely understand what it does and what is its capabilities. Then I'm going to import it into my code. And that's why I like open source, because you can go to the code and see what it does, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So yeah, that's essentially my take on
Right.
things. Obviously, people can disagree and agree with everything that
Yeah.
that we discuss here, right? That's the beauty of engineering.
Right.
Not everyone is the same, and everyone thinks differently, and that's what we need. We need different spectrum of things.
There are like
Mosaic.
100 ways of solving one problem, right? Yeah.
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's part of it. I think this is an art, and some people disagree. People think of
Yeah, even
engineering
I think
as
it's an art. Yeah.
yeah. Some people say, no, this is just a job. You go and build code and close it. Yeah. You might say carpenting is a job as well, but the carpenter who absolutely passionate about carpenting, they will disagree with you. No, you can do different work based on how passionate you build something, right? I think everything is like, and I feel the same thing with engineering and design, and it's so beautiful to see how people solve different problems. It's just amazing.
So for the people who are just starting out their careers in software engineering, or people in their final years of college are going to graduate,
Mm-hmm.
what is some advice that you would like those people to know, so that they can have a good and successful or a fulfilling career in software engineering?
Uh, Patience.
Right.
That's my basic advice. I mean, patience. I mean, don't go to 30-day courses that will give you think that gonna give you become a best software engineer or front-end engineer or back-end engineer. There is no single tutorial that you're gonna watch in a month that's gonna make you an expert. There is no shortcuts. And Gary Vaynerchuk always says that. Don't take shortcuts. Don't think there exists shortcuts. Yeah, you might watch one of these videos or go buy this algorithms course or package that gives you the necessary questions to pass an interview, but you're on your own. That's, to me, that's also a shortcut, right? Even taking these algorithms and all that stuff just to pass a FANG interview, right?
Yeah.
To me, that's also a shortcut. And maybe that's okay. Maybe that's just your entry to get into that so you can start your career, right? Don't think just you got an interview with a job or just they accepted you. This is the end. No, it's just the beginning. Enjoy and make sure that you enjoy it. Don't force yourself to like something that you don't, right? Whether back-end engineering, whether front-end engineering, everyone has its own soul, and you can only be you, right? And you can just pick what you absolutely like, taste everything in different sectors, software engineering, taste front-end engineering, taste crypto if you like this stuff, taste backend, taste databases, taste security or network engineering, because you can do so much with every single one of them. And be the person who, if they said, oh, RocksDB, they say your name. Or they say, if they say React Native, they say your name, right? Be that person. If you're really absolutely passionate about something, or they say Django, then they say your name. They just try to pick something and dive deep into it. But how do you know that without tasting different things? You don't, because you have no idea. And I'm still in this journey. I don't know what I'm going to like. I like all of that stuff. That's why I'm making videos about everything.
Yeah.
And I find myself leaning toward proxies a lot. And I think this has a big future, especially with service messaging and microservices and all that stuff. We're using proxies a lot these days. So yeah, I think that's just the general advice. I know this might not be something you guys want to hear,
Yeah.
but it's not, there are no shortcuts.
Yeah.
It's just being patient, right? Tasting different, reading a lot, listening to videos, and just absorbing information, asking so many questions. Ask
Yeah.
as many questions as possible. There are no stupid questions. If someone asked you, told you that this is a dumb question, they're probably being defensive, and they don't want to answer that, right? So just be yourself and pick something and just run with it. Ask questions along the way, learn, keep learning. And I think that's one way to learn, because know that this journey is going to take years, right? And
It's
if you
always a
really,
marathon and not a sprint.
exactly, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon, right? It's just it's a long journey. Just enjoy it. And if you don't like it, then you have to pick something you're passionate about. We're not talking about engineering or software here. We're talking about everything in life. This is a general advice, I think, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not a life coach by any means, but I think that's if you're passionate about what you're building, and this could be a kind of, people can argue with this. No, not every job has to be passion.
Sure.
Obviously, that's sure. Yeah, you need to eat at the end of the day.
Yeah.
You can get any job, but it doesn't have to be your major. I know a lot of people who are great engineers, but they hate their job. They treat it as just a job. Or they are so smart.
Right.
And they like other things. And that's not wrong.
Are you like a Gary Vaynerchuk fan? Since
Yeah.
you mentioned, yeah, me too.
My God.
So I have like a quick 2-minute story to tell you on what I did. So I'm from India. I'm from Kerala, like a small state in India. So
Yeah, I know.
he said that, okay, go to, how you can generate leads, like go to Instagram, message these people, I don't know, some 99 Central or something. I don't know. Like he said, basically his point was that you message like 10, 15 people, one person is going to reply to you. Okay. So another day he was talking about his company, VaynerMedia, all that. So what I do is I go to VaynerMedia's website. I see a sub company called Tracer in there, which is like a data aggregation analytics company. So I look at it and it's like very vaguely similar to one project that I did in the past, like 2 years back. So the social media of the CEO and CTO is listed. I simply messaged the CEO on Instagram saying, okay, hey, I think I'm ready to work for free, like Gary says it. I'll work for free, like exactly how he said it, right?
Yeah.
Followed his advice. And 2 weeks, he replies, send me an email. Okay. I sent this guy an email, and we get on a call. And I could not attend the call because his assistant did not put it to the international roaming thing. Then I thought I was done. Then I followed up. She set up another call, and we got on the call. And what happened was that I started, so I got on the call with him, then with the CTO, the engineering team. It's like a 25% company. So then I'm on the team as a consultant. Okay. They give me this separate project to work on. And I worked with them for around 4-5 months. And my semester exams are about to be over. My sem break is about to start. 2 weeks before it starts, I'm like talking to my manager, like, okay. So I had actually been to like New York before because to meet my aunt there with my grandfather, like just once for visiting. My aunt actually lives there. So so I was like telling him, okay, yeah, I've been there, I've seen this place. So he's like, okay, so why don't you like come intern with us? I said, but what about the visa? Like, what about all that complexity? He's like, okay, I don't know about it. Let me ask my legal team. And they're like, okay, if you come, you can like, we cannot like add you as an employee. You cannot work on premises or anything, but you can come attend meetings, meet the team, like, be with us.
Yep.
So I was like, okay. And I kind of like took the risk. I went there.
So you came to the States?
Yes, I literally like came there, did kind of like an internship, an unofficial internship for two
That's
months.
awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. So, okay, you're saying this story because you just tried, right?
Yeah,
Look
yeah,
at
yeah.
the
I mean,
opportunities that opened.
I think I just like I followed his advice, right? Like he says, I kind of executed on what he said rather than just listening to it. And
Yeah, it's not
I don't
just
know,
about listening. You have to execute, right?
right?
I wish I
Yeah.
heard
Mhm.
Vaynerchuk before I started my career. I just learned about him 2 years ago, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
still, he helped me a lot.
Right. I just want to like share that because yeah.
No, that's actually
Uh,
awesome, man. That's
yeah.
awesome.
So through the engineering journey,
Mm,
a lot of
mm,
engineers tend to be overconfident or arrogant with respect to what they can do, what they know.
mm,
At the same time, you always try to be so humble and approachable. And you have also written a book about it, right? And by the way, the book is free. You should check it out on his website and give it a read. So, can you like tell me a little bit about why it's important to stick to your roots and be humble
mm.
throughout your journey and what impact it could have?
That's a wonderful question, but I want to correct something you said. Is
Okay.
I try to be humble, but
Yeah.
I think everybody inside, we have this arrogance, and I think I do as well.
Mhm.
And I can I am just aware of it, right? Sometimes I'm not,
Okay.
and it happens a lot with my current work at least, and I
Mhm.
always catch it. The trick here is to catch yourself if you became arrogant,
Mhm.
and what you might say, I don't know if we disagree. Arrogance is not good in general, right? So we have to
Yeah.
establish this.
Yeah.
Like nobody likes someone who thinks they know everything, right?
Right.
Because we don't, right? And I like to, if you have this attitude that you don't know, right, and there's this gap that you can escape and kind of improve, right, you will always get better. But if you think that you know a lot, then you stop improving. I believe that you just cease to improve, and that's kind of not good in general, because and that's kind of general advice to anyone. And my book is called The Empathetic Engineer with an exclamation mark in front, which means in programming, not, right? The not empathetic or unempathetic engineer. And empathetic for non-English speaking, because I didn't know what that word means
Mhm.
2 years ago, is means to put yourself in someone else's shoes or place. It's called empathy. So always like try to, if someone tried to speak to you, right? And especially between us engineers, and I explain a little bit in the book, why is that? There's a lot of tension between engineers because there are, and I believe that because there are a vast amount of ways to solve a problem, this creates a spectrum of opinions. Unlike other careers. I might be wrong there, but especially in engineering, there's so many ways to solve this. Some people argue and fight in open source whether to put the comments above or below, or whether to use slash star or slash slash. Some people argue about that, right? Some people argue, oh, your if statement should not be short circuited, and you have to use nested instead, versus people argue otherwise, right? That level, and there are, if you go up, there are design philosophies that engineers disagree about all the time, and that creates arrogance. And this stops our improvement, because now if you, Adarsh, if you have a solution and I think I know everything, Hussein
Mhm.
knows everything, I'm not going to listen to your solution. I'm not going to let you think that I'm listening, but I'm going to say, okay, okay. Yeah. Keep going, because I don't care what you're saying anyway. I'm going to just, I'm going to do whatever I'm thinking. That's arrogance, right? That's not empathetic, right? So in the book, I talk about how can you put yourself in in place of others and see how they think, because Jordan Peterson, another, I'm a big fan
Same.
of
Yeah.
I he says, assume the person you're talking to knows something you need to know, right?
Right.
Used to say like, assume the person that you're listening to, I'm listening to Adarsh, knows something that you need to do, not just something you don't know. That's
Mhm.
another topic, right? He might or she might know something that you absolutely need to know. And if you start with this attitude, you will be willing to listen to people. And when you do that, you're going to improve because people might tell you something you need to know, and that will advance your career, right? And that's, I think every engineer, every CEO, everybody has to have this skill because this is how we learn from each other. Your experience, Adarsh, with certain frameworks or certain technology is completely different than mine. You might give me a tip that I'm gonna use 10 years later. It's like, oh, wait a second, Adarsh taught me that one day. He got into this problem and he used this instead of this because of this, right? You have no idea what people can tell you if you're willing to listen. And especially this is very special in engineering. And I find from my 15, 16 years career, professional career, and 20 years just working with computers and computer science and dealing with people,
Yeah.
that this is true. We don't listen because we think that we know everything. Why do I have to listen to you? I think your solution is garbage. And yeah, I don't think that's a healthy thing. And so that book is, and it's a free book. I don't even need your email. I'm not going to send you any promotions, or you can type just abcd@gmail.com and get the ebook, right? Because I couldn't find a way to send you the ebook without
Right.
having this, what is called gum
Yeah.
road or whatever
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
called, the service. Yeah, so it's just the idea is I tell a bunch of stories. They are not real stories, but they are fictionalized, a little bit changed, about this engineer, which is this unempathetic engineer, and how he runs into these situations
Yeah.
where every time he thinks he's smart and he turns out to be wrong with
Yeah.
every single story up until the end, right? So it's just a collection of stories that tells you, that kind of reflects us on engineers. Like, wait a second, I'm doing all of that stuff because I've been guilty about all of that stuff. I always, even if I don't express it publicly, I feel it sometimes. Like, you know what, this guy's talking about using MongoDB over Postgres, but I believe relational databases are superior. I do that sometimes, right? But I don't explain why, and that's wrong. I should listen. I should dig deep into why people are using MongoDB, and why I can explain why I'm not using it. There are certain reasons, and I still believe that every project I'm going to use, I'm always going to pick a relational over a NoSQL, and I have my reasons. But just like React, one person, you maybe it's going to be you, Adarsh, or someone else going to say, Hussein, you're wrong. There are use cases where you need to pick NoSQL or MongoDB. There are use cases where you're going to use Angular or React. And here it is. And I'm going to say, mind blown. I was wrong. And I'm saying it so many times on my channel. I was wrong about so
Yep.
many things. And that's how you try to be. But I'm still working on it. I'm not perfect. I don't think I'm humble enough. I'm working on that. So yeah, that's just of being rooted and being just try to be acceptable. And yeah, that's just general interaction with human beings, I
Right.
think.
So, yes, I think that part is kind of clear, right? Why you should not be, that kind of a person. But
Yeah.
what are your thoughts on the situation where you are trying your best, but people around you are being arrogant with you? Or like, what's your advice on generally dealing with those kinds of people?
You mean your YouTube comments?
Yeah, I
Huh?
mean, that's also a source, right?
Yeah, I said, okay. So how I deal with other people's, I don't give. If someone is arrogant with me, I don't tell them, "Oh, please be humble." I don't say
Yeah.
that. I don't think you should, because nobody is gonna listen to you if they are like that. You know, I
Yeah.
was saying you have to deliver the message differently. and I find this from experience.
Mhm.
You don't say, no, be humble, man. Don't say that. You have to be, nah, no,
Yeah.
nobody's listening. Is going to listen to you like that. It's just, I kind of try to listen to those people and see if they make valid points, because I try to implement the same framework.
Yeah.
Right? Maybe this arrogant person is telling me something that I need to change in me, and I'm calling him or her arrogant just as a defense, but maybe she's not. Maybe she knows something I don't know. And that's I deal with the same thing with the comment, with my YouTube comment section.
Mhm.
I had someone 3 years ago on my comment section attack me almost like that. Says, don't try to don't make these kind of videos, make these kind of videos, and try to change this, and he was like, if you read the comment, it's almost very offensive,
Mhm.
right? It says not offensive, and it's an attack almost, and at the offense, right? That's what I meant, right? And that everybody is gonna take this as a defense. They're gonna to be defensive, like, how dare you talk to me like delete comment or spam, report spam. I tried not to do that anymore. I used to do way 5 years ago when I was very insecure about people commenting on or criticizing me. But now I take it, and this guy now is stuck from 3 years ago, and still he's commenting on all of my videos, and he improved my channel. I gotta give it to him. He improved my channel because he said in the beginning, because when I looked at it through a magnifying glass, virtually, it's like, okay, this guy's trying to help. He's not being a troll. And he said, you just said your introduction is too long. Well, how about I short my introduction? How about I don't ramble a lot? I got better. My 18 videos now it turns into 8 minutes naturally. I don't talk more than 8 or 9 minutes if I'm going to talk about a news story. I find myself ramble a lot, but I got better.
Yeah.
Right? He told me once I was using this tool. That was someone else. Tells me, hey, your video is good, but you wasted a lot of time drawing this stuff, right? Just have these sketches ready, right? Or you wasted a lot of time switching colors. You're going to this color and then change the red and then change the green. Don't show us how you change colors. Just change it and edit it later. I was just being lazy because I don't want to edit that out. Plus, I was talking while I was going and changing the color. So people noticed that and they didn't like it. And I changed them. I'm improving. So there are obviously just bad comments that people will comment about your race or your religion or how you look or how your nose looks like that. I just leave those. If it's very, very offensive, I remove it. But otherwise, all my comments are beautiful people commenting and they're lovely. Everybody's just showing their love, and I'm really grateful that we have this platform that we can express what we think. I just recorded a video about the Cloudflare outage that happened yesterday. I was like, it's gonna go after this video. I'm gonna publish it. Yeah, it's good. It's very interesting. What do you think? As you are a YouTube creator as well, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think the main thing for me is the ability to share this at scale, right? So I basically started the channel thinking, okay, so this is one problem that I don't know, 2, 3 people ask me. So if these 3 people are asking me, then maybe more people need it, right? More people are
Yes,
having the same problem, right?
exactly.
So that's how I kind of started. And if you look at my channel, it's almost random stuff, you know. It's basically people that ask me like, okay, can you make a video on this, or I find this difficult, so can you like kind of simplify this. So yeah, I mean, it gives me great pleasure in when people say, okay, this thing helped me, thank you so much for this, right? That's
Yeah.
just makes
Here's
it
an
right.
advice. Here is a YouTube advice for anyone who wants to start YouTube
Okay.
tech channel.
Uh-huh.
When we want to start, we look through these YouTuber advices, right? I find that this gives you into a black hole. And I'm going to explain why.
Okay.
because they give you hacks to make videos that perform well.
Yep.
And when you do that, your goal is to make a video. The goal becomes, I'm going to make a video that performs well and people click on. That's your goal, becomes switching from your passion from software engineering. And I run into through this.
Yeah, same. Even I have that thought process going on
Yeah.
at some point. Yeah.
And that's wrong. Do not listen to this.
Okay. Yeah.
This is wrong, because if you do that, then if you make a video that you're very passionate about and you like it and you post it and it got 100 views,
Yep.
and YouTube is the worst with this. It gives you actually, oh, this videos didn't perform as good as your previous video. Stop doing the video. No, I like here where Gary Vaynerchuk, I really like where he's going with this. It's like, no, just document your, who cares?
Yeah.
Don't shortcut these things. Make videos that you absolutely like. Who cares if only 100 people watch it versus 10,000? Because those 100, there might be Jeff Bezos among those 100, right? Or someone who absolutely find you unique. Because if you tweaked your videos and your content to post so that your algorithm or people reacted to, then you're just like everybody else. You're just a copy of everybody, because then you're going to make one of those beautiful videos that goes every year. Top 20 programming languages to learn in 2020. I don't know what to say about these videos, man. I don't know. I just, and everybody's doing these videos because they do well. Because why? Every entry programming want to know which language to learn, and these videos do better. So people make these videos, and why? What's the purpose of this? You're not helping. This is because if this was an actual good comparison, I would know. It's just a rambling video about what programming languages are popular. It doesn't mean anything. You can use any programming language to build literally anything. You can use Python to build a web server. You can use JavaScript to build a proxy. Yeah, there are languages that gives you tweaks, but 90% of the engineers shouldn't worry about these tweaks unless you're building an application that you want to optimize. Like I give this example on Linkerd, which is the company that built the service mesh for Kubernetes. They started with a service mesh, and their proxy was built in Java, and they switched it to Rust, I believe, and Go. They had a reason for the switch, not because Rust was popular, because Rust didn't have a garbage collection, and the garbage collector in Java was posing the application a lot, especially as a proxy. There's a lot of traffic going in and on from proxy, and Java was just collecting garbage, and posing the application and causing latency problems. So they switched it to Rust. Obviously, that was a big project, and they named it to Conduit, I believe, and then renamed it to Linkerd 2.0. So that's a good use case to change languages. But if you want to start a language, if you're building a hobby project, start with any language. Even if you're building a big project, right? Start with any language. Unless you have a lot of resources, a lot of money to research what programming languages is really good fit. And really this time with microservices doesn't really matter what programming languages you use, because we are, what's the word, polyglot architecture, where any service can talk to any service through the beautiful protocol, gRPC, HTTP, anything, right? As long as you speak this protocol and you speak this protocol, I don't care what language you speak. We're going to speak the same protocol. There are a little bit nuances for that, but that's just another thing. That's, I thought I lost my train of thought. What we were talking about.
I mean, let's continue, right? Since we're talking about that, even I'm guilty of it. I see a lot of people, kind of wasting time on this, is choosing what technology, right? You have an idea, you know a problem to solve, but then you spend like, I don't know, 1 month on picking the right technology. Okay, what should I build the back end with? What should I build the front end with? Okay, now what about the proxies? It kind of gets out of hand, and you go into this rabbit hole at some point, right?
Yeah, over planning, over engineering.
Yeah.
That's just pick something, run with it,
Yeah.
solve with it. I know a lot of people don't like the trial and error, but I'm a big fan. I
Mm-hmm.
just, hey, I'd rather
Yeah.
do something than just do well
Yeah.
about it. I'm gonna pick Nginx. I'm gonna pick HA proxy. I'm gonna pick whatever, right?
Yeah.
Envoy, a web server. I'm gonna pick Apache, Caddy, anything, right?
Yeah.
Just pick something. Don't dwell about it. Move on.
Yeah.
That's this is the shortest advice. I mean,
Yeah.
there are cases where you need to do some research.
Mm-hmm.
It depends how big and whom gonna consume your tech.
Right.
That
Right.
if you have a lot of clients consuming, when I say client, not users,
Yep. Yep.
actual client applications consuming you, then you might want to
Yeah.
think about optimizing this stuff. But how do you know if you didn't do anything? Do something, fix later. Do something, iterate. That's the agile method, right?
Yeah. Can you share a little bit about your future plans? Like, have you ever, thought about starting your own company or doing something of that sort?
Yeah, so that's a good question. I personally, I don't have entrepreneurial genes, if
Mm-hmm.
that's your question. I didn't ever think about starting my own company and being my
Yeah.
own boss. I don't mind working for other people at all.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I find it okay. I still have a job, 9 to 5.
Mm-hmm.
I work from 7 to 6, but sure. Same thing. But yeah, it's just I didn't find myself because I don't know what do I want to build to start
Yeah.
a company. Just some people have this
Mm-hmm.
entrepreneurial gene
Mm-hmm.
where they want to start a company in order to that's part of the art we talked about. It's an art, entrepreneur, and you need to start a company. Some people do it for the money, and nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. You can do that. But some people start companies just because they enjoy the process of running a company.
Yeah.
I don't have that gene. I'm not sure that might change in the future. I might be very involved in a project that might start a company or might start something around it. The YouTube channel is becoming something that I kind of like. It's a combination of a courses, back end news kind of a channel. I want to take it that route. Maybe I want to maybe just document and talk about news, software news that is, because there are almost none people or channels talking about not tech news. There are a lot of people talking about tech news, but
Mm-hmm.
software news, right?
Yeah.
WhatsApp now supports 1 million or 2 million TCP connection on their server. How the heck did they do that? Nobody's talking about that, right? Yeah. Some things like related to software, especially backend, because that's what I enjoy building. That's what I might take that channel here. But as of now, I'm just doing what I enjoy. Don't have a plan,
Awesome.
to be honest. Yeah.
Great. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just yeah, I don't believe you have to start a company at the end. That's not doesn't have to be a goal. Maybe I'm wrong. My
Yeah.
my future self would say you're dumb, saying you should have started a company. Oh, maybe.
But actually, you never know, right? Maybe this could be one of those things that you taste, right? Maybe you try out something. Yeah.
Maybe you're right. Who knows? Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. So, finally, can you tell me, say, three things that you wish 20 or 21-year-old uh, Hussein should know, or you wish somebody had told you? Or maybe this could be some key takeaways that you learned throughout your journey. So, what would be, say, three things?
Well, I wish I started my YouTube channel in 2012
Yeah.
or 13
Yeah.
when and because I when I first had passion about that, I used the blogging uh, platform, and I blogged in 2009 about tech.
Yeah.
That that got me my first opportunity to write my first book.
Yeah.
A UK publisher approached me because they saw my blog about a certain tech, and I wrote a book for them, and then I wrote another one, another one, another one. But I was really insecure with my voice and with my appearance, and I wasn't comfortable in front of camera to
Hmm.
talk. And I wish I started that earlier. I started it a little bit late. I started in 2015 or 14. I wish I started making videos very earlier, so I can make my English better,
Yeah.
because my English is not that good yet. But if I started earlier, then I can talk better, and I can talk a lot. If you practice the language more, then you become better at it. So I just want to, I wish I started making videos way back so I can gain more confidence. Because like, if you watch my first video in 2015, 2014,
Yeah.
well,
Yeah. Seen
was
some
it
of
was
those. Yeah.
yeah, it's just it's about all of them are about GIs, because that's the
Yeah.
only thing I know back then. So I would make videos about this stuff, but I wasn't comfortable in front of camera. I wasn't recording my voice, but I was making excuses. I remember still. I was telling my wife, I can't make a video because I don't have a mic, or oh, I can't make a video because I need a special mic so I can my audio become better. I was like, then we like saved up a little bit for a mic, and then I bought this PlayStation 3
Yeah.
mic. That it's actually right there behind me.
Oh, yeah.
That's
Yeah.
that's the one I just like a headphone, and then I started recording with it, and the quality sucked.
Okay.
I was like, what the heck? This is even worse than recording off the Mac. So
Yeah.
I said, you know what? I can either stop here and make other excuses, or just make my own first video. And I started making video with a built-in mic, and
Hmm.
I continued doing this for about 2 years,
Yep.
just making videos with just the built-in mic in my MacBook, or my, I don't know, remember what was Windows there, but I was giving myself a lot of excuses just no stuff, because I was insecure about
Hmm.
my voice. I was insecure about my looks. I started recording my actual face maybe in 2018.
Okay.
So 4 years after that, right?
Hmm.
And I stopped in the middle. But the only advice I would give myself is go. I'm gonna kick my butt and start earlier. But obviously that ship had passed. So if I'm gonna give any advice to anyone, just start. If you know something, share it with
Yeah.
people, because you have no idea what that piece of knowledge that you know might help someone to complete a piece of puzzle. And a puzzle, I mean actual software maybe, or
Yeah.
an application or a product that might change the world. You might not directly change it, but you helped in the process. And you don't have to take credit about that, but it feels good just to know that, oh, this guy used my part of my code or my strategy to change his life. And some people emailed me uh, in 2016 on that my videos help them get a promotion.
Oh,
It feels really good, man, because it's just you don't need credit about this stuff. It just feels good to help people in general. So if you know anything, if you know fishing, if you know art, if you're a great music producer, if if you write music, just put it out there, man, because you have no idea whom it's gonna help. Open source your software. Don't say, "Oh, my software might suck." Just put it out there. Your ideas might actually help someone else. So that comes with the same thing. Videos. My knowledge should have been shared way back, and I'm gonna use that momentum to keep improving my own self.
mhm.
I would, if I started in 2010, 2009 making videos, I would be 10 and 20, 30, 100 times more knowledgeable than I am today.
Yeah.
Because I'm looking at myself as like, I don't know anything.
Right.
Every time I look at this amount of information, we don't know anything. It's just fascinating. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, as us the creators, right? People think that we, I think people do think, I mean, I'm not sure. I think there is this general thing there that, okay, you can share knowledge only if you're an expert, or those who are sharing knowledge are experts. But rather, I find myself, and I think in your case too, right? We kind of share the learning process rather than sharing the knowledge that we already have. It's more about learning something that you're interested in, and okay, putting it out there, right?
Right. Yeah, yeah, I absolutely agree with you. And as long as you say that, guys, this is my opinion. I'm not gonna say this is facts,
Right, right.
right? You're not gonna say, oh, this is the way to go. Everything else is wrong, right?
Yeah.
You don't say that. You just say, hey, I become better and better with this. It's like, okay, I'm not gonna give you my ideas as they are gospel or
Mm-hmm.
the truth. These are my opinions, and you feel free to disagree. And a lot of people disagree with me, and a lot of people agree. And this is how we have discussion and we improve.
Yeah.
Because that's what I really find interesting if people disagree and they give their own opinion about things. It's just fascinating how your perspective changes. You have discussion, you improve. That's our goal, just to improve and become
Yeah.
better and better.
And that's the whole community aspect of it, where like you learn and
So
grow together, right?
100%, man.
So yeah, thank you so much, Hussein, for doing this. It's been
Thank you
amazing. Thank
so
you so much for taking out the time. I know you're quite busy, but still
much.
you made this happen. So thank you so much. Really,
I
really appreciate
appreciate it,
this.
Adarsh. This was
Yeah.
so much fun. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.